He was out there the other day and said, hey, what about bulbs? They're beautiful in the spring. Think about getting on the schedule for the fall today. You want a beautiful yard next year? You need to put some work into it this year. They are the real deal. LandWorksWisconsin.com. Check it out. LandWorksWisconsin.com.
Are you tired of being tired? Go to AdventKnows.com.
Fly ball, left field. Happ on the warning track. Happ at the wall. It's gone!
It's the Brewers and the Cubs in Game 3 of the NLDS.
Strikes out the side. He puts it in the holster, and the Brewers have a 2-0 lead in the division series.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts today at 3:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
Good morning, 10 o'clock. We have 53 degrees. It's going to be sunny today, but cool with a high up to 60. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Many officials speaking in favor of a proposed bill that would install red light cameras in areas of Milwaukee. Supporters saying the cameras would help the city tackle reckless driving. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman.
Traffic safety cameras save lives, free up police resources, and reduce risk for officers. I urge your support of SB 375 to give Milwaukee another tool to prevent traffic-related deaths and injuries and keep our community safer.
Some residents, though, don't want the cameras.
Clearly, there are better, cheaper, more robust methods that can be used to increase safety at a higher return on investment. Finally, I'd say that we should consider the massive cost of setup, maintenance, administration, and adjudication of such a system.
The committee still needs to approve the bill before it can head to the full state Senate for a vote. Former FBI Director James Comey arraigned today on 2 felony counts in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
James Comey is accused of lying when he stood by his earlier testimony that he never authorized anyone at the FBI to share details with the press about the Clinton or Trump investigations. Now, ABC News has learned a man at the center of the case, former FBI consultant Dan Richmond, told investigators that Comey never authorized him to provide information to reporters before the 2016 election. It's a key reason why career federal prosecutors recommended that Comey not be charged, a suggestion swiftly rejected last month by newly installed U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan.
Comey accused of lying to a Senate committee in 2020. Senate is planning to vote on 2 stopgap funding bills to try to end the government shutdown. About 750,000 federal workers have been furloughed because of it. A memo circulating from the White House Office of Management and Budget has reportedly suggested that at least some of the workers are not guaranteed back pay. 6 former surgeons general have signed an op-ed in the Washington Post making the case that they believe Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is putting the health of the country at risk. Here's ABC's Rachel Scott.
For decades, Surgeons General have issued warnings to the public on everything from the effects of cigarettes and alcohol to guidance on mental health. Now these former Surgeons General, who worked under every Democratic and Republican president since George H.W. Bush, including one appointed by President Trump in his first term, are warning Americans about their own health leaders, saying they felt compelled to speak out because they believe Kennedy is endangering the health of the nation.
They call Kennedy's policies an unprecedented threat. A DoorDash customer charged with vandalism heads to trial.
22-year-old Janiyah Jones faces 1 felony count of criminal damage to property. Prosecutors say a DoorDash driver was trying to deliver Jones's order, but lost her phone signal, eventually canceling the order. Jones was then seen on surveillance footage going to the driver's home, throwing a brick at the driver's car and repeatedly smashing the vehicle with a tire iron. Damages totaled over $10,000. Jones pled not guilty to the charge. Sean Brinda, WTMJ News.
Major construction coming to Whitefish Bay to rebuild a popular grocery chain. The Village Board approved a $10 million construction project Monday to rebuild Sendik's Food Market on Silver Spring Drive. Project will add a larger footprint to the store while also providing improvements to village infrastructure for sidewalks and roads. As part of the agreement, village officials expect Sendik's to complete their improvement project by the end of 2026. Brewers fans feeling confident as Milwaukee holds a 2-0 lead over the Cubs.
This is the first Brewers playoffs I haven't been nervous for. Last year and the year before, I was sweating to get into a game. Now I'm just comfortable. I'm cool, calm, and collected.
Fan Brady Solomon tells WTMJ he's been hooked since 2008 and believes this is the year for the Brewers over all Wisconsin sports teams.
We were very lucky with the Favre and Rodgers Packers team, and we had one in 2010. Bucks, we had one in, 2021? So it's time for the Brewers to finally get their first world championship.
First pitch is at 4:08 at Wrigley Field as the crew looks to close it out. Nizer Spencer, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money and the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Up arrows on Wall Street. Dow up 107, NASDAQ up 144, S&P 500 up 27. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:04.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geis's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geisdoors.com. Geis has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geis at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geis. Visit them online at geisdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Cheese doodles, Mr. Nougat Bar. Oh, here we go. 4-door hatchback.
Some things are fine to buy from a vending machine, but a car is not one of them. The national online company makes it seem convenient, but it won't be so convenient if you have a problem with the vehicle you buy. And if it's after 7 days, good luck. Adam member dealers also let you search online, plus test drive the vehicle before you buy it. And they're right here to handle any issues.
What? The car's stuck. No!
Start your search at adam.com.
Vince Vitrano for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Tune in this Sunday to hear my full interview with new physician Dr. Damrow. To learn more or to make an appointment, visit orthowisconsin.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brewers can clinch a berth in the NLCS today. Milwaukee leads the NLDS 2-0, entering Game 3 against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Wisconsin football team back at Camp Randall this week. Badgers host Iowa Saturday to play for the Heartland Trophy. Wisconsin's lost 4 of its last 5 meetings with the Hawkeyes. Badger Sports Update sponsored by Siding Unlimited. Siding and a whole lot more. Packers will be back home this weekend. Green Bay will face the Bengals at Lambeau Field on Sunday. Packers 2-1 after starting the year with back-to-back wins. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. We had some pretty hefty delays on I-94 westbound near Brookfield. It looks like most of those have been cleared off, so it should be a little bit easier to get through that area. I-794 west at the ramp from Car Ferry Road, left lane there was blocked due to a disabled vehicle. Looks like that has been cleared off. Still some slowing, 41 South Highway Q to the Zoo and 43 South Brown Deer to downtown. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, cool today with a high of 60. Mainly clear, chilly overnight. Lows 48, lakeside 38 inland. Mostly sunny, nicer tomorrow, high 63. Chance for showers Friday morning, high 66. And sunshine for the weekend with highs both Saturday and Sunday in the mid-60s. 49 in Madison and in Green Bay, 53 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Good morning. No hump day today, Jess? In honor of Steve being gone. It is hump day. It is Wednesday. It is Brewers Day. Hopefully we can just finish it out tonight. Our guests today are Jim Santel, former United States Attorney in Wisconsin and retired Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Mary Kuhnmensch. You've been at were you at the last 2 games?
Oh, I was at the last game, and it was probably one of the coolest moments in my sport life. It was just so much fun. I was there celebrating with my brother and my sister and a whole bunch of family friends. So go Brewers. Let's take this home today.
Go Brewers.
So envious, Judge Mary. So envious.
You got to hold on to the good things that are happening, right?
Absolutely.
Because I would imagine at least the next half hour, when we talk about whether or not President Trump is going to invoke the Insurrection Act, not as happy as a Brewers sweep of the Cubs. But let's start there because he keeps talking about invoking the Insurrection Act. Let's start with just what does that mean for people who are unfamiliar, maybe have heard of it before, but what is the Insurrection Act?
Glad that you asked. I think I'll just weigh in a little bit and then let my federal expert and good friend Jim Santel take it from there. But you have the Posse Comitatus Act, which essentially says you cannot use law enforcement, or you cannot use military for law enforcement purposes. And that dates back to, I think, Jim, 1870-ish
Yes,
time
right.
frame. And there is a carve-out, as there always is in the United States. There's some exceptions, and one of the exceptions is what we have called and referred to as the Insurrection Act. It's Section 10 of the Criminal Code of the United States of America, and Sections 251 through 253 are the sections that, if you're interested in looking them up, that refer specifically to what President Trump is attempting to do. 251 restricts him and says you cannot do this without the approval or the request of the governor of the state. 252 and 253 give him more ability to do this even when he's not invited, but he has to set forth sufficient facts, because this is going to end up in a court of law. I think you would agree, Jim, that
Absolutely.
The federal judges are going to have to be persuaded, and one of them, at least in Oregon, has not been persuaded, that there is a rebellion or an invasion. And those words are to be taken literally. An invasion means somebody coming from the outside and attacking the United States of America, such as what happened on 9/11, or a rebellion in the streets, similar to what happened during President Lincoln's use of military personnel to help quell rebellions, and that was what we call the Civil War.
Yeah.
We aren't anywhere near or
Not
close
even
to
close.
those,
Not even
to
close.
those kinds of actions. And one judge out in Oregon has said no, and that federal judge has said no deployment by the president. Illinois, I think the initial fray was that the federal judge is allowing them to continue at this point, but until it gets to a full hearing. I think that's where it's at.
Some
It was
briefs
just
to be
tomorrow,
filed
right?
tonight,
Yeah.
yes, and she's going to have a hearing tomorrow on the same kind of issue there in Chicago. And Judge Mary, as always, has got to just right the judge. I think it's important to recognize when you've got judges as the guardrails of America, as a judge just said, who are saying the right things, invoking the law. This is Judge Karen Immergut, Immergut. She's a district court judge in Oregon, for what it's worth. She is not a Biden or an Obama appointee. She comes from a Republican background, among other things. She was one of those who worked with Ken Starr in putting together the Monica Lewinsky thing.
Oh, God.
This is someone who has got credentials on that side. And again, I hesitate even to say that because we shouldn't have to talk about it. But the reality is she comes out and says exactly what Judge Mary just said. She says that you can't federalize the Guard this way. This is a presidential overreach. No rebellion here. And interestingly, once again, showing the ways in which this White House responds, she does that on Saturday of this past week, says, no National Guard here, can't be doing this, Mr. President. And so somebody at the White House comes up with the crazy idea of saying, well, if you're going to prevent the Oregon National Guard from being federalized here and coming into the streets there, what if we bring people from California or another place?
Or Texas.
And we'll do it that way. She gets on the phone on Sunday night, and she basically says, my description, not hers, don't play games with this. And she issues, again, a universal, not injunction, but she basically says, nobody can come into Oregon. There's not a basis for doing this. Don't play these semantic games. I see Stephen Miller's writing all over this kind of thing. It's an attempt to do an end around from her, and she then reaffirms the order. Again, as we just said, the judge in Chicago will be taking this up tomorrow and presumably issuing, we anticipate, the same kind of thing.
So as of right now, there are no National Guard troops in Oregon, but there are Texas National Guard in Chicago.
Correct.
Okay.
And let's just go back, Kristin, to a couple of historical incidents where the standard was met.
Let's tease that because I'm looking at the clock already.
All right.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the historical context where this has been met, and then compare it to what's going on right now. So stay with us. Our guests are Mary Kuhnmensch, former judge, current judge,
but retired.
I don't know how that works.
Sort of retired. And my husband doesn't think so.
And never completely abandon that, right?
And attorney Jim Santel, stay with us on Point Taken.
The dance of sunlight on water.
Shimmering, sparkling, beautiful, hypnotic.
Houses that overlook a gorgeous body of water are the most highly desired houses in the world.
The Bellamare collection of fine jewelry features classic white diamonds, flanked and surrounded by rare and exotic blue diamonds.
Bellamare means beautiful water.
Bellamare, sunlight on water, glimmering and twinkling.
The dance is enticing.
The look is spectacular.
The impact is exciting.
Blue and white diamonds created in the heart of Mother Nature
will dance and sing on the body of a glittering, sparkling woman.
Bellamare, This blue and white beauty of sunlight on water.
Should be worn on the fingers
The wrist.
The neck and the ears.
of the woman you love.
The Bella Mare collection is available only at Kessler's.
We do diamonds better because diamonds are what we do.
For the location of the Kesslers nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the beautiful bathroom contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
The very front of the Brewers front office is on Wisconsin's Morning News.
Such a team effort, just trying to work every at-bat and just to get to the next pitcher. So, yeah, we'll use whatever motivation it takes to beat the other team.
Brewers GM and Senior Vice President Matt Arnold is our Brewers 360 guest every Thursday morning at 8:45.
Yeah, really good to get that win for not just the team, but for the whole community here to celebrate.
Brewers 360 is sponsored by Outdoor Living Unlimited and Big Fish Contracting.
Listen, guess what today is?
There we go. There we go, Jazz. Thank you for that. All right, we got to do it in honor of Steve, who is on vacation. He will be back next Friday, so a week from this Friday. But we are having fun and great conversations in his absence. And of course, we are talking about the law today, because for those of us who are not lawyers, trying to keep up with this is a stretch. And so we are with Mary Kuhnmensch and Jim Santel.
It's a lot, Kristen,
It's
as you
a lot.
always say
I don't think our
every
brains were
morning.
meant
It's
to
a lot.
process how much information is constantly coming at us. But
You know,
regardless,
I think that this is we are at a precipice, and to use the words from Indiana Jones and the Ark of the Covenant movie, choose carefully. And what I mean by that is I think the public, most Americans are, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, you consider yourself more liberal on social issues or conservative, most Americans still have a fairness barometer. I think this whole push by the Trump administration, led particularly by Stephen Miller, and I think President Trump, quite honestly, is being ill-served by him. I don't know your thoughts on that, Jim, but that's an individual who, when you operate on the extremes, America never operates on the extremes, and whenever we do, it ends badly. And we are operating in the extremes right now because you've got a guy like Stephen Miller who has no moral compass and is being allowed to have a large voice in that administration, particularly on military issues, particularly on use of military in the streets of our country.
It's a domestic
policy
agenda.
It's not going over well with the American public. I think this is a real misguided effort by the president, but that's my opinion. Obviously, people can disagree, but I think when you go too far in one direction, this country always sort of comes back to the middle, because we're not comfortable at our core. We are not comfortable with extremists. And in this case, a couple of the historical incidents sort of show why people are hesitant to get the military involved, because it never ends well. When you look back, and the reason the governor, I don't know if it was Brown, but it was the governor in 1992 with the Rodney King riots, that's what they referred to when the last time this act was employed, was in dire need of assistance, because they had probably 6 to 8 weeks of ongoing in the summer of 1992, when Rodney King had been, most people remember this visual, been pulled out of a truck and then beaten. And that was, where the video was just showing. It was almost akin to the same video we saw with O.J. Simpson, in his white Bronco.
Which was the same year.
Well, I think that was 1994, but we were getting those visuals.
But wasn't it the same year with the court case of the police officers was the same time as O.J. Simpson?
Absolutely, and your memory is good. And in 1992, 60 people died during those riots in the streets of Los Angeles because of the Rodney King, and it lasted for a fairly significant 24 hours a day for 6 weeks is a long time. And that was taxing the Los Angeles Police Department. And so the governor required or requested that military be brought in to help quell that. That's the type of incident that you need. You need a triggering incident. You need to have that kind of damage to property and the loss of life. I mean, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of property, millions and millions of dollars worth of property destroyed. And then I go back as far as 1967, when Mayor Meyer asked Warren Knowles, those of you who were, back in the 60s, when you were a teenager or above, you remember the National Guard rolling out of the Whitefish Bay Armory down Silver Spring, and also coming from the west from Timmerman, the National Guard outfit out at Timmerman. So we had to use them to help, again, support the Milwaukee Police Department because of the race riots that were across America at the time. Those are the kinds of incidents. Let's go forward to 1970. The governor and the mayor of where Kent State University is housed asked the National Guard to come in and patrol and restore to the city and to Kent State University, which is probably the biggest part of that city. I forget which city Kent State's in, but they were having a hard time controlling the protests on the campus against the Vietnam War in 1970. And so the National Guard was brought in, and we all know that 4 people were killed and dozens were injured when the National Guard was used to help quell the unrest on that campus. My point is, historically, when you look at the last 60 years or last 50 years, there have to be triggering incidents where there is a need. And then the governor's
And
act.
those are all considered the Insurrection Act, of invoking the
Correct.
Insurrection Act.
Asking the National Guard to come in and assist law enforcement in restoring peace to what would be described as, I would assume, a riot or a rebellion that could not locally be controlled, couldn't be controlled locally by the law enforcement that was present. Those are very far and few between, and they involve significant, over time, again, it was 6 weeks over the time in 1992, which is the most recent incident that people refer to, where the governor of California requested it because they absolutely needed assistance for the Los Angeles Police Department for 6 weeks of nonstop rioting. Again, loss of life was up over 60 people, lots of people injured, and millions and millions and millions of dollars of property destroyed. My point is there's a triggering incident. In this instance, you've got the president sending troops in without that, and then because of the actions of what he and the directions that he's given law enforcement, or I should say National Guardsmen and women who are usually college kids or professionals who are serving their country on the side. They're citizen soldiers. And this is the last thing they want to be drawn into. And they have no arrest authority unless they're federalized. And they're usually brought in to assist local law enforcement. Here, they're being to supplement or to take over the law enforcement completely with not any training in proper use of force, when you can use it, when you can't. And they are going to be held accountable. Sooner or later, you see these videos where people are being thrown to the ground, where they're being taken out in a very, very assaultive fashion.
But that's ICE, right?
Yes.
So and this is the thing, because it's like, let's take a break quickly, because I want to talk more about getting clarity about what ICE can and cannot do, because these are the videos that are just shocking to me.
But those are the incidents, Kristin, that are causing now the need to bring in.
Because people are protesting those
Correct,
incidents.
are protesting those. And so now the president wants to escalate instead of de-escalating it or giving better instructions to ICE agents into how you do your job. And instead, he's going to add fuel to the fire by bringing in additional military presence, which is going to cause an escalation to a degree that I think most Americans are not comfortable with in this country.
Okay, let's take a quick break, because I want to touch on what we know about what ICE can and cannot do, because obviously they're still wearing masks, they're still not showing their badges. But then I also want to talk about what power states have, as we have J.B. Pritzker and the governor of Oregon, and like what, because we were talking about the police policing the police or policing the military. And so let's get to all of that after this on Point Taken.
Which one is it? You must choose. But choose wisely.
All types of injury lawyers advertise. Cartoon lawyers, bobblehead lawyers, and folks chasing ambulances with text messages. Our clients don't want or need such lawyers. Our clients know, like, and trust that Pasternak and Zergabel will help in their time of need. I'm Frank Pasternak of Pasternak and Zergabel. Jeff Zergabel and I are excellent personal injury lawyers in our community. If you need help after an injury, go to Pasternak and Zergabel at injurywisconsin.com. That's injurywisconsin.com.
At Hazelden Betty Ford,
treating mental health isn't just about breaking old patterns, it's about braving new ones. As the leader in alcohol and drug treatment for 75 years, we know caring for addiction, anxiety, depression, and trauma goes hand in hand. We're here for you with new tools when life breaks down. Discover your path to better mental health at hazeldenbettyford.org/Wisconsin. Sponsored by Hazelden Betty Ford Foundation.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Hey, Doc, nice office. Quick question. If you had to choose, would you give yourself a root canal or run payroll?
Run payroll, no question.
Seriously? Well, have you run payroll before?
Paying my team with Gusto couldn't be easier. Gusto gives me unlimited payroll runs, next day direct deposits, and automatically files my taxes. Saves me time.
Wow, that's nice.
Over here, Doc. Can I run payroll too?
Choose payroll without the pain. Visit gusto.com/radio to sign up for free.
Dave Spano from Annex Wealth Management. It didn't seem like it when the season started, but we've watched the crew become a great team. We're just as proud of the team here at Annex. I'll put the Annex team up against anyone when it comes to what we do. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. If that's what you're looking for, let's talk soon. AnnexWealth.com. Click the Get Started button. In the meantime, let's enjoy championship baseball in Milwaukee.
When we're out in your town, come say hi as we broadcast live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
Anytime you hear us when we're on the road, you can find us live from our brand new mobile studio.
Whether it be Summerfest, EAA, Opening Day, Air and Water Show, wherever we may be.
You can see us on the radio, live from the Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin mobile studio.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
We are Wisconsin's radio station.
News Radio 620 WTMJ.
Gotta get down to it. Soldiers are cutting us down.
Welcome back to Point Taken. Our guests are retired and current Judge Mary Kuhnmensch and former U.S. Attorney Jim Santel. All right, so we got about 3 minutes until the end of the bottom of the other news. So what happened? Like, where does this go? If he continues, he being President Trump, continues to push these troops, and judges may try to stop him and say there is not enough factual evidence here to justify troops being deployed to these cities. I assume that the National Guard, I mean, they just individually have to say, I'm not going to do this? Or like, what happens?
A couple of points that I would offer to support not only your question, but also Mary's good exposition here. One is all of this underscores the great problem when you mix what is basically a military force. I was involved with it for 2 years when I was in Iraq, and a domestic law enforcement force. Those have two fundamentally different purposes. Domestic law enforcement is to keep you safe and secure. The military is to engage in war. Those are two completely different functions, and that's what we're seeing now. We're mixing those two together. Not to say that when there's a rebellion, you don't call in the war folks to try to put down that rebellion, but that's the fundamental issue. And so ICE, to respond to your question right before the break, Kristin, it is obviously created in the wake of September 11th, bringing together a couple of different agencies. It is a civil law enforcement entity, right? What does it do? Conducting criminal investigations, enforcing immigration laws, national security, and yes, indeed, protecting public safety. And what's happening right now is you're conflating the one with the other. The notion of civil service to the constituencies of our government, of our nation, and a government that is then also bringing the military and putting them in as an overlay. To your question about what is happening here, yes, you've got a Judge Immergut and maybe Judge April Perry. Maybe tomorrow she is going to issue the same kind of an order in Chicago. She is saying no. that the kinds of things we've talked about already that Mary laid out so very well, that is beyond. You can't do that. And yes, indeed, the administration can appeal that to a higher court, the Seventh Circuit, the Ninth Circuit out in Oregon. The question ultimately becomes a constitutional crisis. Does this government follow and observe what a federal district court judge is saying? Stop it. Don't do that. When you've got an attorney general who's talked about how judges are not powerful, you've got a president who's talked about how basically they can do what they want. That's the real constitutional crisis. That's the authoritarian government that we talked about last week. That's the real problem.
And look at all of the most recent what they suspect is arson against the judge.
Well, that's what I was bringing that up as well.
In South Carolina, where it's open season to go against one of our branches of government, the legislative, the executive, and the judiciary. And if the judiciary is not going to go along with what you want to impart as an authoritarian government, you eradicate them. And you sic the troops, or in this case, the public, on them, and that's happening more and more, and that's a very scary thing. I think that's
Mary, I gotta
frightening.
Because we got to go to the bottom of the hour news. First, ABC, and then local headlines.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Kristin. Former FBI Director James Comey pleading not guilty to charges that he lied to Congress 5 years ago. The judge has set a trial date of January 5th. Now, House Speaker Mike Johnson says furloughed government workers should get back pay when the federal government reopens. That following President Trump saying there is no guarantee of back pay. The shutdown causing delays at airports.
Air traffic controllers are considered essential workers and have already faced extreme staffing shortages. Now they won't be paid until the shutdown ends, possibly going weeks without a paycheck. It all has a serious impact on productivity.
ABC's Will Reeve. There were 3,000 flight delays yesterday across the country. Already today, there are more than 1,100 delays. National Guard troops from Texas positioned outside Chicago now, despite vigorous opposition from the mayor and the governor of Illinois. Joan Kennedy has died. She was the former wife of Massachusetts Senator Ted Kennedy. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. One person dead after a rollover crash south of Green Bay last night. Brown County Sheriff's Office says a truck lost control, went off the road into a field, caught fire, and Wrightstown driver dead at the scene. Waukesha residents will now pay an annual fee for waste removal. Fee approved in a 9-5 vote that will require city residents pay $160 for trash and recycling pickup. Members of the Common Council say the fee will generate money for the city without raising property tax levies on residents. Residents will be asked to have their payments sent to the city no later than November 7th. The potential future of widening I-94 in Waukesha moves forward. Milwaukee Business Journal reports in September the Wisconsin Department of Transportation sent a letter to Waukesha County officials indicating the proposal for a highway expansion that was a top priority among state projects. WisDOT staff recommended that the proposal should proceed to an environmental study phase. The Transportation Project Commission will vote later this year on approving the study. Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up 124, 46,727. NASDAQ up 173 at 22,961. S&P 500 up 34 at 6,748. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-43 north, about 1.25 miles beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Right shoulder there is blocked due to a disabled vehicle. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny and cool today with a high 60. Clear, chilly tonight with lows 48 to 38 inland. Mostly sunny, pleasant tomorrow. High of 63. Chance for showers Friday morning. Partly cloudy, high 66. Sunny Saturday 64. Sunny Sunday 66 degrees. 50 in Madison and in Green Bay. 54 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited. WTMJ News Time 10:33.
So he said to me, "Boy, oh boy, do you got the boulders." And I said, "You betcha." And he said, "Do you mind if I cherry pick?" And I said, "Feel free. They're all beautiful and they're all granite. Sparkling pinks, blues, and grays from 4 to 36 inches. And they're all priced right. Because we buy direct from the source nationwide to give you the look you want. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Well, if you need flagstone for your new natural patio, Erickson's is the place to find it. We have the largest selection and 15 styles to choose from. And for decorative stone, Erickson's is your best choice. Our decorative stone is trucked in from all over the country. We buy straight from the quarry and cut out the middleman to keep your prices nice and low. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Enjoy a free prime rib dinner tonight at the historic Fox and Hounds, recently voted the best supper club in the area. WTMJ's John Mercure here, and with the fall colors, it's a great time to experience the Fox and Hounds near Holy Hill. It's been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their rustic timber building. Every Wednesday and Saturday, when you buy one prime rib dinner, your second is free. Also, order your favorite steak, seafood, grilled salmon, a big salad, the ribs, even steak and lobster, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free tonight. Sip on a delicious Manhattan, enjoy an old-fashioned, check out the bourbons, or select from over 100 wines. The Fox and Hound sits in the Kettle Moraine Forest. The setting is beautiful. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of the famous Holy Hill Shrine. With the fall colors, the drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest is spectacular. Those fall colors look great in the beer garden they've got, too. A Wisconsin must-see. Enjoy your free prime rib dinner tonight. Tables are available. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristin Brey. You're here with Jim Santel, former U.S. State's Attorney and retired Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Mary Kuhnmensch. And so I think I teased this, but I'm not sure we really put a point on it as far as... So we know that ICE is now supercharged as far as their funding. They're offering $50,000 signing bonuses, but it doesn't... I don't feel like... And again, there's a fire hose of information all the time. Right now, I feel... less informed as far as what they can and cannot do.
Well, they're law enforcement. They're a form of federal law enforcement, and so they're bound by the same rules of engagement that local law enforcement is. And
so, do they need to show their badge?
They should be wearing their badge in a public way. Now, concealing their face, I don't have a lot of difficulty with that, other than I think that there's reasons why a lot of them are doing it that don't adhere to what would be a legitimate use. Is they're claiming that their lives and their families' lives are being, if they show their faces, that there are these left-wing groups that are looking them up on social media, looking them up on other sources out there so that they can then harass them or their family members, and so they want to hide their identity. There might be some legitimate use of that. I think they've gone overboard. Some of them wear them, some don't, and they may wear them for other reasons to protect their identity because they're involved in bad acts. Who knows? But the standard is that you show your face and you show your badge. That's the standard.
Can they fire, so we were talking off air, so can they fire in pepper bullets into a crowd when people are unarmed? Because that was a video that's getting circulated this morning that an unarmed priest at a protest in Chicago gets shot right in the head. I mean, it was a pepper bullet, so it's not like he was injured, but he's not dead. But what are the rules as far as their ability to do crowd control?
Can they? Yeah. Should they? No. I mean, and again, this goes to training. I want to clear up any confusion that anyone in the audience might have thought that I am a very significant supporter of our National Guard and our military. My father was a Navy pilot in World War II. I fly my flag every day, and I love our country, and I love our military. But my point was that the military is not, as Jim has pointed out, they are not trained in law enforcement. They have military police? Yes. Mm-hmm. Very small percentage of our military is engaged in the military police. The vast majority they're citizen soldiers, and they're brought into things like when you have an earthquake, or you have tornadoes or other natural disasters where we need additional support. They come in and they do an unbelievable job of helping rebuild our communities, keeping the community safe, and doing things of that kind. We don't use them in law enforcement. Their primary purpose is not law enforcement, and so they aren't trained in law enforcement. Do they have other skills that exceed what our people in law enforcement have? Sure, and we use those and we deploy them to communities where we have natural disasters and other needs to restore peace, such as the race riots in 1967 here in Milwaukee, or in 1992 with the Rodney King riots. My point is, with ICE, you've got rogue officers who are not trained correctly. We don't know how they're being hired, how they're being trained, what directions they're being given by this Justice Department. and by the FBI. How are they? How are they told to do their jobs? We keep hearing terms like we're going to unleash them, we're going to do that. Those are not traditional law enforcement, and I think most people would shudder if they thought our local police agencies, whether it's Whitefish Bay or Fox Point or Greendale or Franklin or the city of Milwaukee, they are not unleashed. On the side of their car, it says to protect and serve.
And there are three touch points, Kristin, that Mary is talking about. One is before you send them out on any operation every single morning, good domestic law enforcement gets together. It's the thing we see on the TV every so often, dramatized, where the commander of the force talks about what we're going to be doing today, what our mission is all about, and that's based upon training that everyone in the room has had. Then if you do, in fact, have an incident of the sort that you just described, somebody is shot at, two things happen. One is there is a review of that to determine internally whether that's consistent with the training, whether it's consistent with the Constitution and the purposes of that. And yes, indeed, there are many times in which the courts then become involved to determine whether or not there's been a violation of the constitutional rights of the victim or victims of that particular event. All sorts of checks and balances, if you will, all along the way, in a circumstance where you've got normalcy, where you've got regulation of what the agents are doing domestically. You've got that training piece. You've got oversight. You've got responses. Here, as Judge Mary has just said, great concern about whether or not those basic standards, those guardrails are still in place, and that's why you get the things that give you and others such great concern.
And there's always
including
consequences, Kristin. As Jim is pointing out, there's always a collateral damage. And one of the things that I'm very concerned about, and you're already hearing rumblings about it, is the public then doesn't make a distinction. Law enforcement is law enforcement, and so any bad feelings that they're having about what ICE is doing now carries over to our poor local law enforcement who are doing a tremendous job in our streets trying to keep us safe. Most law enforcement, 99% of them are out there they've got families of their own, they live in our communities, and they're trying to do the right thing. And whenever one of them goes rogue or does something wrong, it's investigated, as Jim has said, by the local district attorney. And it's other officers or the public or other public servants that see an officer. Think of George Floyd up in Minneapolis, where Derek Chauvin kneeled on his neck for however many minutes it was and caused his death. He was turned in by several people, including a firefighter who saw what he was doing on the streets. That then gets referred to the Minneapolis District Attorney's Office. He's prosecuted. He's brought to trial, and the jury found him guilty. And he's now serving in excess of 22 years for improper use of excessive force. That principle is for the federal system as well. That's not just local, state and municipal law enforcement agencies. That applies to the FBI, to ICE agents, to everyone. You cannot use excessive force that causes the death of another human being, even as you are executing your lawful law enforcement duties. If there is another way to prevent that from happening or to decentralize someone who is causing problems in the street, you do that. But if you kneel on their neck for, at least this jury up in Minneapolis determined that was excessive force, the district attorney in Milwaukee has to review every police shooting and then makes decisions about whether it was a justified shooting or not. If those rules apply to local law enforcement, that they don't apply to federal, we've got a double standard that hurts local law enforcement, because now they're going to be held, the public's going to say and impugn their mistrust of the ICE agents to their mistrust of all law enforcement. And that's a dangerous path to go down.
Okay, when we come back, I've been reading a lot more about how ICE is hiring entire teams and using AI to have surveillance across social media. And it rings things like the Patriot Act. And I was a lot younger when the Patriot Act came about. But it's things you're putting on social media. So is that considered spying? So I want to talk a little bit about the legality of what the government is allowed to do with information that you put out into the internet. So stay with us. Mary Kuhnmensch, Jim Santel, I am Kristin Brey on Point Taken.
When people think sleep apnea, they think CPAP. Now at Advent, we do all we can to help sleep apnea sufferers avoid the CPAP machine. And most sleep apnea sufferers who come to Advent are going to be able to avoid a CPAP altogether. Our unique Advent approach using simple in-office solutions can get your nose working and throat open all under one roof. You see, the root of every snoring and obstructive sleep apnea problem lies within the throat, nose, or both. At Advent, we know when we get the nose and throat working properly, most snoring and sleep apnea problems.
Most insurance accepted.
Oh, how's that flu, babe? Did you take Dayquil Intense Flu yet?
Nah, I got this. Ugh, okay, I don't got this.
You stay on the couch, and I'll grab the Dayquil.
Undo your flu symptoms with Dayquil Intense Flu. Dayquil Intense Flu provides powerful relief of your flu symptoms.
I'm ready for that to-do list.
Wow, you do got this.
Dayquil Intense Flu, the daytime coughing, aching, fever, under your flu medicine. Use as directed, keep out of reach of children.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZzzQuil Ultra, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZzzQuil Ultra helps Mike fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs, so he can wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Classic feeling. Your home is failing. Windows are old, roof looks horrible, siding is distressed. Even your front door fights you on everything. Hi, I'm Eric Brown, owner of Siding Unlimited, and I will be on the Fix It Show this Saturday from 8 to 9 a.m. 1 hour where you get to call in and ask about your failing home and how the professionals at Siding Unlimited can help you. Can't wait until Saturday? Bring your pictures to our Siding Unlimited showroom and let's chat. Start your home updating journey with Siding Unlimited at sidingunlimited.com.
Good Karma Brands is proud to be an equal opportunity employer, providing equal employment, development, and advancement opportunities to all teammates and applicants. To learn more about careers with us, please send an email to talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com. That's talentacquisition@goodkarmabrands.com.
When you're due for tire service, visit richlands.com for the location nearest you.
We'll give you a free flat tire repair on every tire we install. No questions asked. I'm Brett Matchey with Richlands. You're due for service.
Richlands. I always feel like somebody's watching me, and I have no privacy.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey here with Mary Queen Mensch and Jim Santel talking about, well, we're not even going to get time to talk about SCOTUS, so we're going to have you guys come back next
They're
week to talk
continuing
about
in
the
business
new term.
even today. There's a case just this morning and coming out of the 7th Circuit, and we can chat about that next week.
We will
Kristin.
chat about it next week because I wanted. So I feel like when I was a kid, I was 15 when 9/11 happened, and obviously that unleashed the Patriot Act, and it was a time when it expanded the government's right to listen to your conversations and
Well, it was to find terrorists, foreign and domestic.
And a lot of people, I think, there was a lot of people who were upset about it, but there's a lot of people like, well, what are they? Who threw their arms out and be like, I have nothing to hide.
Right.
And now I'm reading, so ICE wants to build out a 24/7 social media surveillance team. And they're trying to hire dozens of contractors to scan X, Facebook, TikTok, even chess.com, and be able to leverage all of this advanced technology that we have access to, whether it's AI scanners, face detection, that can make mistakes, but also can say this person's face it looks like this person that is wanted for XYZ thing. And do those things correlate at all? Because obviously, and it's not about like, oh, I'm posting my crime on social media and I'm a dum-dum. It's free speech,
Have
right?
I advocated for something?
It is there,
right.
and right now they're looking for anti-ICE sentiment to then flag.
Right.
And now you are on some kind of list. And so one, is it legal? And two, what kind of slippery slope does that set us up for? Especially if this administration isn't always going to be in power, and then there's a different administration who wants to use this same technology and surveillance and flag different terms.
A couple of thoughts once again. First Amendment is one of, again, not without its conditions, not without its exceptions, but it's such a fundamental notion. We will let you say things, post things, describe things that are offensive, that are unpopular, that may be contrary to the government. That's what it's all about, right? That's James Madison stuff. That's Thomas Jefferson stuff. We have always said that as a nation, right? And so my second point is just this. On a report like that, Kristin, there was an opportunity yesterday for our United States Congress to talk with the director of the FBI and to talk to the Attorney General. She was there on Capitol Hill. Ask her, what is the policy of this Department of Justice, of this law enforcement regime when it comes to doing that kind of surveillance? And what is your goal? Are you looking for what? Or are you simply trying to suppress?
And what are you doing with the information?
Exactly.
If it's U.S. citizens who have anti-ICE sentiment.
And ask that question, I wonder, and again, it's a policy matter, right? Where is the United States Congress establishing that is not the policy of this government? We can no longer rely, regrettably, upon this Attorney General, from my perspective, to make those judgment calls. Where are those senators who were quizzing her yesterday and asking her about this report and asking, what, in fact, are you going to be doing with this information, and does it not run contrary to the First Amendment? And if that is the case, and if she, depending upon how she responds to that, appropriate for the Congress, again, in a much better Congress than this one, actively involved in establishing not only resolutions, but the law of the land when it comes to policy in America. Not only did they pass, again, the Patriot Act in the wake of 9/11, a huge, obviously, furor about the future of our nation. That's what produced it. You can also pass legislation that restricts the government when it comes to these kinds of things. Where is the United States Congress in doing all of this?
And searching social media is not a partisan thing. It's nonpartisan. Democrats have used it, as have Republican administrations, and it's a legitimate use of, I think, law enforcement time. In answer to your original question, I think, do they and should they? Yes. It's a way of fettering out and discovering people that live within our own country, both foreign and domestic, that live and have embedded themselves in our communities and want to do harm to us or our communities or our government. And so looking at those little chat rooms and finding out, we use it for discovering who, is doing human trafficking, who's engaged in pornography, who's engaged in other illicit types of activities that should be looked at.
When there's a shooter out there, we go back.
Like a mass shooting.
So you always
we
do
do
that.
All kinds of legitimate purposes for doing that.
There's a legitimate reason for it. The problem here is the Trump administration, in the view of many folks, given the path that they're walking on right now, may abuse it. Have other administrations abused it? I'm sure. I think Brian Johnson, one of our senators, is very upset and is having a congressional hearings on people looking at his social media and some of his background because they wanted to get to the bottom. I think the Jack Smith investigation looked at what was he doing with the alternate and to see if there was criminal activity there, the alternate delegates and so forth. And he's upset about that. So it happens on both sides. It's a question of whether somebody is using it to abuse our ability to be free from excessive restrictions on our free speech.
What is the legitimate law enforcement purpose?
Correct.
That's the question you always ask.
And you balance it against someone's right to have free speech. It's always a balancing act.
All right. One more break, and then we'll say goodbye to our legal experts, Mary Kuhn-Mensch and Jim Santel. Stay with us on Point Taken.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Committee from Milwaukee Weight Loss. Yes, I can't believe it, but you should believe it because I lost now 46 pounds since January. How did I do it? Milwaukee Weight Loss. Not the shots, not the gimmicky stuff, the meals, bars, shakes, just hard work, willpower, eating less, still getting my 10,000 steps in, but it reset my metabolism because I've been off the reduction program for a while now, and I was actually still losing some weight. And the weight comes off. It's doctor-developed and natural and helped thousands of people just like me, and certainly you lose that body weight in just 8 weeks, then you got to maintain. Most people, 20, 30 pounds of weight loss. If you have a reunion or a wedding or a vacation you're looking forward to, this is the answer for you. It was for me. Milwaukee Weight Loss, incredible team. Their coaches are amazing. Part of the success story that I had was those coaches at Milwaukee Weight Loss. Schedule your free consultation today or go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com or call 262-393-2334. I'm reading it slow because somebody said, you're reading it too fast. 262-393-2334. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Do you have a spot that's too cold in the winter, but if you jack up the heat, the rest of the house is too warm? Vince Vitrano for USA Insulation. Time to get Jeff and his team out to your house. Proper insulation from USA forms a thermal barrier that maintains warmth in the winter and coolness in the summer. Time to get in on thousands of dollars of government efficiency credits. Jeff and his team at USA Insulation find the grants, rebates, reductions, and they discount the cost of your project up front. Get started at usainsulation.net.
USA Insulation.
They were talking about doing a few things to spruce up their home, and I knew where they were coming from. Sometimes you don't even realize it, but then it hits you. You've had the same look in your home forever. And that's why Jan and Bob came to see me. And I told them they came to the right place. Because here, you'll find a bunch of choices to spruce up your home for less. They had a stone fireplace with empty walls on either side. I suggested glass shelves. She hated their old bathtub, so I showed her our glass shower door displays. They had kind of a small living room, so I thought strip mirrors would really open it up. And after we priced out my suggestions, they were surprised at the bottom line. Wait till they see their home after we're through. This is Stacy Sinks with Less's Glass Service. If it's a new glass shower door, fogged or broken insulated glass replacement, or affordable glass and mirror home decor that you've been looking for, you just can't pass on Less's Glass. Less's Glass Service, serving all of southeastern Wisconsin. Find us at lessglassservice.com.
Gruber Law Office. One call, that's all.
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 Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
One call, that's all.
Fly ball, left field. Hap on the warning track. Hap at the wall. It's gone!
It's the Brewers and the Cubs in Game 3 of the NLDS.
Strikes out the side. He puts it in the holster, and the Brewers have a 2-0 lead in the division series.
The Brewers look to close the series in Chicago. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts today at 3:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
All right, let's get to it quickly because we have closing arguments from Mary Kumensch and Jim Santel before we let them go, and they will be back with us next week, maybe for longer than an hour because there's never enough time. All right, Mary, let's start with you.
Closing argument would be the phrase, discretion is the better part of valor. And I know as a judge, when I took my time and thought, instead of being a knee-jerk reaction to something that I heard during the court trial, that I always made better decisions when I was not reflexive. I was more reflective. I would think that those are good words to live by now. We're coming up on a week away, the anniversary of the Cuban Missile Crisis, from October 16th to the 19th of 1962, where President Kennedy was asked to manage a crisis far greater than what we're facing today, Cuban missiles being placed 90 miles offshore in Cuba by the then Soviet Union. And he used every tool of diplomacy that he could to prevent that from happening. Discretion is the better part of valor. He used his experience in World War II to moderate his conduct and said, you've got to be very careful when you use the military because we don't want to start World War III. And he navigated us out of that crisis, a true crisis, with statesmanship. I would suggest that we need that same kind of presidential leadership now.
All right, Jim, you got a minute.
Sublime to the calendar, less an argument, a calendar issue. To the extent that your listeners, and I know they all do, want to follow this issue we've been talking about, Judge April Perry, U.S. District Court Judge, Northern Illinois, is having a hearing tomorrow. You should be attentive to that and see what she says, whether she's consistent with the judge out in Portland. At the same time, you've got another court. It's the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about it next week.
Yes.
And today, believe it or not, they're deciding whether or not an election day means something where you can count ballots after election day. And next week, Wednesday, a major Voting Rights Act case, Calais, coming out of Louisiana. All of your listeners, as they all are, should be attentive to what's going on in courts, the Supreme Court, district courts. It's changing America, and it is important for Americans to understand what's going on.
All right, Jim Santel, Mary Kumensch, we will see you next week. Thank you for your wisdom and your expertise, as always. And now, the news.
Does your bathroom belong in a haunted house? Or maybe it's just time for a refresh. WTMJ and Sidex are back with the beautiful bathroom contest. One lucky listener will win a tub or shower conversion valued up to $10,000. It's easy. Snap a pic of your scary shower, terrifying tub, or even just one you're tired of. And enter now at WTMJ.com. Sidex makes it easy to go from fright to fabulous.
Half a century of marketing expertise joined with over 20 years of local market knowledge. Not to mention the savings you'll see after you get our best commission right up front, which, by the way, is only 1.9% on the listing side of your home. Join that together and you can be sure that you've chosen the right real estate experts who have the experience to market your home effectively and give you a commission that'll end up paying for things like new furniture. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated. They saved over $50,000 after we sold their home at only 1.9%. You don't have to pay 6% to market and sell your home. Hundreds of Century 21 Benefit Realty clients will attest. You can get it all for only 1.9%. The more value your home has, the more important it is to find the best real estate commission and the marketing ability to get top dollar. And with Century 21 behind us, that's what we have. This is Angela Calais with Century 21 Benefit Realty, benefit-realty.com, where you pay less for full service. Each office is independently owned and operated.
You're what?
Making Thanksgiving dinner.
Why so early?
So I can serve a big family meal on the Flay table from Penny Mustard.
Oh, I love the Flay table.
Melt butter and add peanut butter.
The strong Midwest craftsmanship ensures family feasts for generations.
Mix in strained beets and mayonnaise.
What recipe are you making?
Recipe? What's a recipe?
The Flay table, paired with 4 Kendall chairs, with your choice of fabric or leather, starting at $68.71 at Penny Mustard. Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago. PennyMustard.com.
Loyalty, family. Few things are more important. This is WTMJ Steve's Confetti and Loyal Family Renovations. They saved the day after a brutal storm in Oak Creek. Hail damage, yeah, I had a lot of it. But Jeff, Jake, and the whole team, absolute pros, made the entire process smooth as can be. Let's be honest, not everyone knows how to deal with adjusters. They handled all the questions, quick answers, top-notch customer service. In just 2 days, my roof was done. If storm damage hits, call the team that made it easy for me. Loyal Family Renovations. Visit loyalfamilyrenovations.com.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Fly ball, left field. Hap on the warning track. Hap at the wall. It's gone!
It's the Brewers and the Cubs in Game 3 of the NLDS.
Strikes out the side. He puts it in the holster, and the Brewers have a 2-0 lead in the division series.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts today at 3:30. October runs through the home of the Brewers. News Radio 620, WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11:01, we have 54 degrees. It's going to be sunny and cool today with a high up to 60. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Former FBI Director James Comey has pleaded not guilty to charges that he lied about authorizing the FBI to leak details of the Hillary Clinton email probe to the press. Here's ABC's Stephen Portnoy.
The brief hearing had the former FBI director entering a not guilty plea through his defense attorney. Patrick Fitzgerald told the judge Comey's team would be filing several motions, challenging the case as a selective and vindictive prosecution, challenging Lindsay Halligan's appointment as the acting U.S. attorney, and a motion alleging that she abused the grand jury process. The judge has scheduled the case for trial in January. Comey was released on a recognizance bond.
The case connected to Comey's testimony before Congress in 2020. National Guard troops positioned near Chicago under President Trump's federal crackdown on crime. They arrived at the Army Reserve Center in Elwood Monday after 300 members were federalized by the president over the weekend. Trump administration is eyeing other Democratic-run cities to deploy guardsmen, including Memphis, which local authorities say could see its own troops by Friday. Staffing shortages leaving some air traffic control towers unmanned and airports dealing with ground stops and delays. At Chicago's O'Hare Airport, message boards highlight delay after delay as passengers arriving wonder how it will affect them. This man flying to Italy.
I guess I could see if it had to shut down for an extra day or two while they finish the negotiations, but this is a little ridiculous.
Government shutdown in its second week. The Senate planning to vote today on 2 pieces of legislation, both aimed at bringing the shutdown to an end. On Monday, both measures fell short of the 60 votes needed, but Senate Majority Leader John Thune says the chamber will keep voting on the bills. About 750,000 federal workers have been furloughed. Many officials speaking in favor of a proposed bill that would install red light cameras in areas of Milwaukee. Supporters say the cameras would help the city tackle reckless driving. Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman.
Traffic safety cameras save lives, free up police resources, and reduce risk for officers. I urge your support of SB 375 to give Milwaukee another tool to prevent traffic-related deaths and injuries and keep our community safer.
Some residents don't want the cameras.
Clearly, there are better, cheaper,
more robust methods that can be used to increase safety at a higher return on investment. Finally, I'd say that we should consider the massive cost of setup, maintenance, administration, and adjudication of such a system.
Committee still needs to approve the bill before it can head to the full state Senate for a vote. The Brewers hype train quite literally arrives in Chicago for Game 3 of the NLDS.
The Brewers hype train, or rather the Brewers Express, departed promptly on time at 8 this morning and arrived at Union Station ahead of schedule. Terry was among the hundreds of Brewers fans on board the 332 and is as excited as anyone else to watch the Brewers try to get the sweep this afternoon.
I love the way we play. What do we call the woodpeckers? We're not maybe the biggest bats in the world, but we're dedicated.
Fans on board the Brewers Express were well fed as well, with hundreds of brats handed out by the Brewers fan force. At Union Station in Chicago, Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. In the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, the Dow up 180 points, the Nasdaq up 190, S&P 500 up 36. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:05.
Goldsmiths are essential to running a jewelry store, but they're extremely hard to find.
Goldsmiths can repair jewelry, set diamonds, resize rings, and create beautiful, one-of-a-kind pieces of custom jewelry.
Most jewelry stores do not have an in-house goldsmith.
But Kessler's has 18 wonderful goldsmiths working in our 9 Kessler stores.
The average Kessler's goldsmith has more than 15 years of full-time experience.
And that's not counting all the apprentice goldsmiths and jewelry designers.
Our goldsmiths repair a lot of jewelry that we did not sell.
Bring us your broken jewelry and we'll bring it back to life.
When you see a woman with an extremely attractive, very distinctive engagement ring,
you can safely assume that it's a custom-designed, one-of-a-kind ring made by the goldsmiths at Kessler's.
When your relationship is special, you need a special engagement ring.
If you want something that's breathtakingly one of a kind,
come to Kessler's.
For the location of the Kessler's nearest you, visit KesslersDiamonds.com.
Gene Miller here for my friends at Hometown Windows and Doors. Unfortunately, it's not too early to start thinking about those upcoming heating bills. At Hometown's huge New Berlin showroom, you can compare energy-efficient windows from Anderson, Pella, Marvin, and more. Like me, you'll get a dedicated project consultant to guide you to the products that best fit your home, style, and budget, along with employee carpenters who respect your home. Do what I did. Contact Hometown Windows and Doors today. Hometown with an E for your every window and door need. 414-329-1200 or online at hometownwindows.com.
If you want thick, healthy, gorgeous hair, then you need Hair Volume from New Nordic. Available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Find furniture for life from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brewers can clinch a berth at the NLCS today. Milwaukee leads the NLDS 2-0, entering Game 3 against the Cubs at Wrigley Field. Wisconsin football team back at Camp Randall, hosting Iowa Saturday to play for the Heartland Trophy. Badger Sports Update, sponsored by Siding Unlimited, siding and a whole lot more. Packers will be back home this weekend. Green Bay will face the Bengals at Lambeau on Sunday. Packers are 2-1-1 after starting the year with back-to-back wins. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. A disabled vehicle on the ramp from Good Hope Road to I-41 North. It looks like that has been cleared off. Some debris cleared out of the roadway. I-94 West at Mitchell Boulevard, so that should be all clear there. And I-43 North, about 1.25 miles beyond the ramp from Moreland Road. Right shoulder was blocked due to a broken down vehicle. That also cleared off the road. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, cool today, 60 for the high. Clear and chilly overnight with lows 38 to 48. Sunny, nice tomorrow with a high of 63. Slight chance for Friday morning showers, high 66. Sunshine for the weekend with highs both days in the mid-60s. 54 in Madison and Green Bay, 54 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue. It's time for Point Taken. Here are your hosts, Steve Scafidi and Kristin Brey.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the 11 o'clock hour of Point Taken. Steve is on vacation. I am here. Hopefully you're still enjoying it, even though for the more #more Steve people, they're still getting something out of this week and next week's shows. Well, I'm very excited about our next guest because she's always just a delight to talk to. It's the one, the only, the fabulous farm babe, Pam Yockey from the Midwest Farm Report. Pam, how are you doing?
Yeah, that is for sure.
Say that again. You cut off for a little bit.
Did I? I said I am doing well for sure. Glad to be along with you. Where did you say Scafidi was?
Scafidi is in Sicily.
Oh,
I know.
That's a rough duty, Brey.
All right. Well, I have two more serious topics to talk with you about, and then I want to talk about the fun stuff with the World Dairy Expo. But first, what is the status? Because I saw earlier this week there is consideration from President Trump about a $10 billion bailout for farmers, specifically when it comes to the soybean industry, which is very prevalent in Wisconsin because China has not bought a single bushel of soybeans since May. So what are you hearing as far as both how hard this is hitting Wisconsin soybean farmers and what is the likelihood that they may get some relief?
It to be the same thing that happened during Trump administration version 1. If you recall, the same kind of retaliation was happening around the world, and farmers suffered the brunt of it, and they came in with federal aid. I was hoping that they were going to make decisions on some of the details yesterday, but they have not yet made any announcements. We're looking at between $10 and $15 billion that the administration has said they will make available to farmers, specifically soybean growers, to offset losses from that China business. Now, there's a couple things that are happening here. Obviously, the federal government is shut down, so even if the administration decided to move forward with this, that money supposedly coming out of tariff-collected dues, the federal government wouldn't have a way to administer it to farmers. The last time around, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, through like our Farm Service Agency or crop insurance, they kind of work through those agency arrangements. We don't know what this one would be, but the bottom line is nothing has happened on that. You're right. Soybeans are the one everybody's talking about. But I did also want to remind people that there are other commodities that Wisconsin farmers are growing and working with that have done very, very well. For example, our corn exports have done exceptionally well this year. Some of the countries that are coming into the marketplace for our U.S. corn, Mexico has always been a big buyer. Japan has been stepping in. China is still buying a little bit of corn here and there, and that's primarily because they are growing their livestock industry and they need that corn. So that's something to keep in mind. And our dairy industry in Wisconsin has been doing really well. Our last year we had a record as far as cheese exports were concerned. And I just was at World Dairy Expo, and everybody's saying that we are on pace to do at least that much business this year. Some of that is driven by the fact that the United States is a low-cost leader when it comes to our product values, but still the business is there. But back to the soybeans, if we take a look at the $10 to $15 billion that they're looking at dispersing to the nation's farmers to offset those tariffs, retaliation, I want people to understand, yeah, of course, that is a tremendous amount of money. Farmers would rather have the marketplace versus the money, but the money that we get is basically going to cover the expense that farmers have already laid out to plant that crop. So remember, a lot of farmers go into debt in spring, buying fertilizer, diesel, seed, herbicide, etc., and assume that when they harvest that crop, they'll be able to lay that debt off and come ahead with profit. Well, now because China is missing, there's really no way they are going to find profit. What this money is kind of designed to do is basically plug the holes, make sure that that one crop does not sink a farm, and also allow them to maintain credit so that they can get into the market next year, 2026, and restock all the fertilizer, diesel, and seed and herbicide they need for next year's crop. So don't think that farmers, even if this federal aid comes through, don't think that farmers are going to be riding around in brand new tractors or brand new trucks, because that's just not what this money is going to be used for.
Well, it's also, I mean, if you think about it, it's not $10 billion to Wisconsin farmers. It would be across the nation, right? And so, I mean, I don't know what number that ends up being as far as how much each farm would get, but I would imagine it's not a lot.
No, you're right. And it's based on a farm's, basically their acres of soybeans. And remember, that's just one crop. If you're in a state like, let's use Iowa. So Iowa is not dictated, but you know what you're getting with Iowa. Corn, beans, pigs. Corn, beans, pigs. In Wisconsin, you've got a real diversity of agriculture. A lot of farms do grow soybeans. They may use them on the farm for livestock feed, or they may sell them. But it also goes along with corn and alfalfa and wheat and all of that kind of thing. So we're a little bit more diverse than a lot of other states. But still, when and if this federal money is dispersed, it will be given to the farms based on their acreage and probably based on their production. So they'll go back on past records. But like I said, until USDA has the ability to even start doing those calculations, even if they said, here's your money, there's nobody in the office to help get that money to the farms. And now let me be clear, Kristin, farms work on a little different tempo than some of us. Some folks are paycheck to paycheck, right? Mm-hmm. You want to be able to pay your mortgage. You want to be able to,
I think a lot of people live that way.
Farmers are a little bit different situation. Right now, all they're thinking about is the harvest. They want to capitalize on this beautiful weather. They want to do their job and get the crops in. They assume, again, that by the end of calendar year 2025, that federal aid will come in so that they can square their books by the end of the calendar year, get good with their creditors so that they can get back into the marketplace and start buying all over again for their 2026 crop.
Got it. Quickly before we go to break, someone texted in, how are our ginseng farmers doing?
Yeah, the ginseng market was one of the first we were telling stories about during the first Trump administration, where they lost basically. China is their number one market with an exclamation point, and that market. When I talked to Will Su, who's a major ginseng grower and leader in that industry, or their board members, what I didn't realize is ginseng is something that can be stored.
Oh.
When the first Trump administration took the market away, ginseng growers in Wisconsin started storing their market. But to be fair, that market has never recovered. Why? Because China grows its own ginseng. It's not the highest quality like Wisconsin's, and the relationships that Wisconsin ginseng built can only last so long. So I know that my Wisconsin ginseng growers are very concerned about imitators from around the world taking their market away from them. I know that they've continued to make a lot of trips to China to try to reestablish relationships and also find new ways. I say backdoor the product. So maybe the product has to go someplace before it can come into China. But they've been very creative on trying to keep their product moving into China. But to answer the email or the text question is the U.S. ginseng market, and specifically Wisconsin ginseng market, has not recovered. I haven't gotten production figures yet for this year, but like I said, I'm guessing that their storage facilities are getting pretty full.
Got it. All right, well, let's take a quick break. We're talking to Pam Yonke, the fabulous farm babe from Midwest Farm Report, because we've yet to cover this on our show as far as the ICE arrest that happened of farm workers up in Manitowoc County. So I want to get your opinion and insight on that and hear how the World Dairy Expo went. So stay with us on Point Taken.
Hey, WTMJ, Steve Scafidi here. Are you a member of the State of Wisconsin Pension Program? If so, you may have questions about your benefits and what they mean to your retirement plan. Join me, along with Anna Wealth Management Director of Financial Planning Eric Strom and Senior Financial Planner Tom Burkholz on October 21st at 3:30 p.m. We'll discuss fundamentals, like how to look at your statement, and go deeper looking at case studies that may help relieve concerns and answer your questions about WRS. That's Tuesday, October 21st at 3:30 p.m. Register now. Visit WTMJ.com or events at AnnexWealth.com.
You know what it's like to go through something you thought would be a cakewalk, but it turned into a crucible. What started as a formality became formative. It changed you. And if you know what that's like, then you can relate to what happened to God's people in the book of Numbers. And maybe you can learn something by listening to their story.
Dr. Michael Ziegler, this week on The Lutheran Hour.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
What makes Hasselus mattress different?
Aside from employee-free showrooms, free next-day delivery, and prices that are way too low?
Yeah, besides that.
Hasselus Mattress is locally owned and managed by the same family.
So,
your money stays right here. And through Monday, you'll get a $248 credit towards a new Beautyrest, Sealy Posturepedic, and Serta Perfect Sleeper just for shopping local.
Thanks.
For what?
For being different.
Find a no-hassle, employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
This year, it just feels different.
Swing and a miss. He struck him out.
Keep it to WTMJ as the Brewers fight their way to a pennant throughout the run of the playoffs. Brewers playoff coverage is presented by the Narrow Spine Center of Wisconsin and by Annex Wealth Management, Boucher Automotive, and Delta Dental. We are the home of the Brewers. WTMJ.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey. We're talking to Pam Yankee of the Midwest Farm Report. You might know her as the fabulous Farm Babe. And this was the end of September. And there was 24 people arrested in Manitowoc that were farm workers. And we just haven't gotten to touch on it much. And so I wanted to hear what you're hearing as far as what do we know about this raid, and can we expect more?
Well, the raid in Manitowoc County was kind of isolated. I mean, the hard part about this story, Kristin, is that we don't have a lot of details.
Yeah.
We know how many people were picked up, but no federal officials or county officials are speaking on it at all. And I'm not sure exactly why. I've got my thoughts on that, but the bottom line is, whenever anything like that occurs, it puts the antenna up on all of Wisconsin agribusiness. I mean, it's no secret that we rely on a lot of immigrant labor to try to get the job done. And what I want people to understand is that farms work very, very hard to do what is right. They want to make sure that their employees have been verified. They want to make sure that they've got paperwork and are in process to become citizens, if that's their ultimate goal. But because things are so murky as far as dairy when it comes to immigration policy, they're kind of left twisting in the wind.
Yeah.
I've talked to dairy farms that are like, we've started down this path with our employees. They'll be 5 to 10 years invested in the process and still don't have definitive answers about what the end game is. Remember, when you talk about the immigration policy that's on the books right now, it basically allows for those seasonal workers to come into the United States. Those would be people that come in at the harvest to basically try to get the fresh fruits and vegetables off the field and into retail locations. That's the focal point there. But dairy cows require care 12 months out of the year. And that's where we run into a real trip and fall problem here, is that we can't have, there's no real good process to make sure that these people stay in good stead and keep us going on our dairy farm. So like I said, I know that a lot of our legal resources have been trying to work with farms and employees to make sure that they've got everything going in the right direction. But when you just kind of randomly pick a geographic region that you know there's a lot of dairy workers in and follow their patterns, like I said, sometimes I think that's part of the reason why law enforcement and ICE are not speaking up about this. It's very targeted. I haven't heard of any other cases anywhere else in Wisconsin. The Trump administration had said that they were not going to focus on agriculture because they want to make sure that the farms continue to run, and then we have these isolated incidents. So like I said, at World Dairy Expo last week, there wasn't anybody really talking about it.
Okay.
I didn't see any angst on Wisconsin dairy producer, any dairy producers' faces for that matter. But it's really something that they were screaming for last week, needs to be addressed and rectified. They've been working on it. All our farm organizations have been working on it as well. It's just that right now it's a muddy stream when it comes to answers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where it feels like that's where a lot of people are. It's not anti-immigration. For some people it maybe is, but it is legal immigration, but it's not the lack of update and progress on our immigration policies is quite frustrating. But
yes.
More for another day. Let's have some fun. So for people who have never been to the World Dairy Expo, what is it like?
So I was just actually talking with a lady at a department store yesterday that was very, very perplexed on why anybody would want to pay attention to the World Dairy Expo. And I said, well, okay, I get you. First of all, it is a major economic driver in Dane County and Wisconsin as a whole. We had more than 56,000 people from really all around the world that were in Madison all of last week and before and after, just focused in on the dairy industry exclusively. Now, World Dairy Expo is all about genetics. So if you're somebody that likes to see and appreciate beautiful animals, then you would have been in good company because that's really what it's all about. The other thing is that, like I said, it's like an economic driver. A lot of these groups come in as much as a week in advance and start touring around Wisconsin. They may go to cheesemakers. They go to dairy farms. They may do a little shopping. They obviously use hotels and Ubers and so forth. So it's a big economic impact. And then for people like me, it's a reunion. Last week was my 35th anniversary being at World Dairy Expo as a farm broadcaster in Madison. And it's just a hoot because you get to see people that you haven't seen for a year. And dairy is much like a family. We love to see each other, get together, talk, catch up and that type of thing. So like I said, there's the Badger grilled cheese sandwich. There's all kinds of great flavored ice cream, the beautiful cows. There's all kinds of souvenirs and merchandise you can take away, and a lot of education that people can pick up about the dairy industry. So like I said, yes, I'm a homer, and yes, it is my wheelhouse, the dairy industry, but I think I could convince pretty much anybody if they give me enough time and let me walk them around the grounds, you'd find some value and have a good time at World Dairy Expo too. So I'll have to open my dance card for everybody come 2026.
Maybe Steve and I will have to do a field trip next year, and you can show us around.
It may not be Italy, but I'll do what I can.
It's a little different than Italy, but still a very good time. All right, Pam Jahnke, thank you as always for spending some time with us. I know you get up early in the morning to do your show, Midwest Farm Report, and so whenever you can spend time with us, we really appreciate it.
Thanks for the invitation, kiddo. Have a great day.
Absolutely. You too. All right. We'll be back after this on Point Taken.
Without an Advent clinic nearby, people suffering needlessly from chronic nasal congestion and sinus infections would be stuck with either Band-Aid or Sledgehammer solutions. Band-Aids are pills or nasal sprays, and they're not true solutions. Surgery is a sledgehammer, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Because most people don't need surgery for nose and sinus issues, nor do they want a 14-day recovery. Our unique Advent approach can, in 20 minutes in our office, open your blocked nose for good, with only 1-day recovery. I'm Advent founder Dr. Kandula. Outside of Advent's four walls, invasive surgery is what they'll recommend. But here you will find effective and convenient in-office solutions to help you stop the need for Band-Aids and avoid the sledgehammer.
Go to adventknows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. AdventKnows.com. Most insurance accepted.
It's Gina Della. You've heard me define what makes Pella Windows and Doors different. Let me introduce you to the woman behind the billboards, commercials, and share my extraordinary journey of resilience, reinvention, and shattering glass ceilings every Saturday morning at 6:30 on 620 WTMJ and anywhere you stream podcasts for What's the Difference with Gina Della to discuss business coaching across all industries, featuring successful executives, entrepreneurs, and mentors along the way. This is a story you won't want to miss.
Enjoy a free prime rib dinner tonight at the historic Fox and Hounds, recently voted the best supper club in the area. WTMJ's John Mercure here, and with the fall colors, it's a great time to experience the Fox and Hounds near Holy Hill. It's been serving fabulous dinners for almost 90 years in their rustic timber building. Every Wednesday and Saturday, when you buy one prime rib dinner, your second is free. Also, order your favorite steak, seafood, grilled salmon, a big salad, the ribs, even steak and lobster, anything on the menu. Your second dinner is free tonight. Sip on a delicious Manhattan, enjoy an old-fashioned, check out the bourbons, or select from over 100 wines. The Fox and Hound sits in the Kettle Moraine Forest. The setting is beautiful. Just off Highway 167, 2 miles east of the famous Holy Hill Shrine. With the fall colors, the drive through the Kettle Moraine Forest is spectacular. Those fall colors look great in the beer garden they've got, too. A Wisconsin must-see. Enjoy your free prime rib dinner tonight. Tables are available. Visit foxandhoundsrestaurant.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ's Steve Scavini here to talk about my brand new show, WTMJ Outdoors. Coming up, we're talking turkey. That's turkey hunting season in Wisconsin. A great vets organization doing some great work for our vets who need our help. And we wrap it up with the waterways of Wisconsin with Milwaukee Riverkeeper. All things Wisconsin outdoors. Join us every Saturday, 2 to 3, right here on 620 WTMJ.
It's WTMJ Outdoors, presented by Outdoor Living Unlimited.
All right, a big thank you to Pam Jahnke. As always, it's always interesting to get her insight on things that are happening in the farm world, since she is much closer to it than certainly than I am. All right, well, we're, usually on Wednesdays we do Ask Us Anything. Steve is obviously not here this week, so it'll be an Ask Me Anything. So if you have questions for me, I pretty much will answer. I'm a pretty open book. So give us a call, shoot us a text, 855-616-1620. And for the rest of the show, after the bottom of the hour news, we will do some Ask Me Anything and answer some questions. If there are no questions, I will figure out something else to talk about. Not that there's not lots to talk about. But yes, feel free to ask me whatever you'd like. But in the meantime, have you ever... This is one of the most annoying things to me. And I don't think it's just streaming, but it is also just normal TV. How much louder the commercials are than the actual programming. Well, now California TV watchers will no longer have to be startled awake by blaring cheery jingles because Governor Gavin Newsom just signed a law this week that will require streaming advertisements to have the same audio level as the shows they interrupt, which I think is a great law. It's funny that we have to have a law to enforce that, but I'm sure it has to do with some kind of psychological thing that if it's a little bit louder, it's going to make you pay attention to it. But sometimes the audible levels are very noticeable, and you'll have the TV where you need it to be able to hear it, and then all of a sudden you just get blasted with a very strong commercial or a very loud commercial. But yeah, the rule, I guess, is based on a similar U.S. federal law that only covered ads on traditional TV. I still think that they get around that, but not streaming. And so that was back in 2010. And in 2010, the FCC received over 100... Oh, we have news.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Los Angeles County, federal and local authorities say they've arrested a Florida man for starting the fire that became the devastating Palisades fire. U.S. Attorney Bill Lassaley.
We are announcing the arrest of 29-year-old Jonathan Rinderknecht for igniting a fire that ultimately burned down the Palisades earlier this year, killing 12 people, destroying more than 6,800 structures, both homes and businesses, and damaging over 1,000 more buildings.
Police say the fire was set January 1st. L.A. fire crews had put it out, but it was whipped up by Santa Ana winds by January 7th. Former FBI Director James Comey entering a plea of not guilty today at his arraignment hearing. He's charged with lying to Congress during testimony in 2020 related to the leak of information in the Hillary Clinton emails. The Senate holding a vote today on a measure to end the shutdown. It's expected to fail. That shutdown now entering its second week. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. Cuts to DEI programs have reached Wisconsin universities. UW-Madison cut their HR Department of Equity and Wellbeing, which work to support LGBTQ+ and employees of color. It's unclear how many staff members will be laid off. A DoorDash customer charged with vandalism will head to trial. 22-year-old Janiyah Jones faces one felony count of criminal damage to property. Prosecutors say a DoorDash driver was trying to deliver Jones' order but lost her phone signal, eventually canceling the order. Jones was then seen on surveillance footage going to the driver's home, throwing a brick at the driver's car, and repeatedly smashing the vehicle with a tire iron. Damages totaled over $10,000. Jones pled not guilty to the charge. Microsoft pulling its plans to build a data center in the village of Caledonia. Milwaukee Journal Sentinel reports outcry from area residents and elected officials have caused the company to reverse course after it had been planning to build the data center in the village for months. Just last month, the Caledonia Plan Commission approved rezoning plans. Village Board was supposed to discuss the data center proposal at its meeting next week. It would have been Microsoft's third data center in Racine County. Time for some news about your money. The WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow is up 168 points, 46,771. The Nasdaq up 181 at 22,969. S&P 500 up 35 at 6,749. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Pretty quiet out there this hour. A disabled vehicle on the exit to Port Washington Road from I-43 North doesn't seem to be causing too many delays. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Sunny, cool today, high 60. Clear and chilly overnight with lows 48 to 38 inland. Sunny, nice tomorrow, high 63. Slight chance for rain Friday morning, high in the afternoon 66. Sunny weekend ahead. Saturday's high 64, Sunday up to 66. 55 in Madison and Green Bay, 57 now in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:33.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here for Tri-County Contracting. You've heard about Tri-County Contracting and their worry-free roof tune-up. You've heard about their instant roof quote. But don't forget, Tri-County Contracting also handles windows. Our project at my home moving right along right now, and the process has been so easy and thorough. It's nice when you can trust the team you're working with and know that they are looking out for you. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com. It's worry-free roofing, siding, and also windows. Tri-County Contracting, WI.com.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
Are you struggling with stubborn weight gain during perimenopause or menopause? It's not your fault. Your changing hormones are forcing your body to store fat, no matter how little you eat or how much you exercise. But there's hope. The Milwaukee Weight Loss Proprietary Natural Program helps restore your metabolism and reset your hormonal balance so you can finally lose the weight and keep it off. No counting calories, no prepackaged meals, no injections, just real results. Join thousands of women who've discovered how to lose 10 to 20% of their body weight in just 8 weeks to feel like themselves again. Visit MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com now to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's WTNJ Steve Scafidi here. After a summer in the maintenance phase, I'm back in reduction mode. I'm going to lose 10 more pounds. That means I'll have lost 50 pounds since January. The best part, none of the intense workouts, no meals or shakes, none of the meds or injections. Many patients see 20 to 30 pounds come off in just a month or two. Book your free consultation today at 262-393-2334 or online at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com.
Now it's time for Ask Us Anything on Point Taken. Got a burning question? Give us a call or text on the Siding Unlimited talk and text line at 855-616-1620.
Indeed, indeed. Ask me anything, since it is not Steve and I. It is just me, Kristin. We had a couple coming in right now, but if you would like to give us a call, 855-616-1620. We can take your call and we can have a conversation, even though we don't take many calls in this show anymore, or at least live. Or shoot us a text. I have a couple in here already that we will get to. But the first one, we'll start with a light one. We are in desperate need of a weekend getaway. What is your number one suggestion? Well, if you can spend the money, it is not cheap, but at least you're not paying for flights. My favorite, it's like splurge, is going to Kohler in Wisconsin. The last, I think we went last year, and I think we maybe went 2 years before that. In the spring, like in the March, where it's still kind of cold, but getting to eat some of the incredible food, some of the restaurants, and just the history of that place, how beautiful everything is, how incredible the staff is. It's not very far from Milwaukee. So if you're looking for, I think, probably one of the nicest places you can stay for a weekend outside of Milwaukee without getting on a plane, I would argue that Kohler is up there. But beyond that, I don't know. Obviously, if you can get on a short flight, it opens up a lot of different places. I liked going to South Carolina back in August. That was a really easy flight to get there, besides flying with a toddler, which I don't recommend. But as far as getting there was super easy. Maybe it won't rain all weekend like it did for me. But yeah, so I would say my number one, staying in Wisconsin within a short drive, is Kohler. All right. This one, this one's kind of funny, but I don't know if I have a top three. But someone said, with Steve being absent, I don't know why that matters, because if you listen to this show, you would know that Steve has no problem listing off the times I think he thought Trump was obnoxious. But with Steve being absent, can I ask this question? LOL. What are your top three obnoxious, rude, arrogant Trump moments of the last 10 years? Listing off three. The number one overall for me will always be when he was mocking the disabled reporter. And that is, I've talked about it. I have family members who are disabled. That to me still is like, how anyone saw that and was like, yeah, that's okay, is still to me kind of unfathomable. But I'll believe that as my top one instead of trying to sift through top three. But again, I don't know why you want to ask that when Steve's not here. I feel like he'd be fine answering that question. Another one. Hey, what are your thoughts on the judge in North Carolina that did judgment against Republicans and someone now burned down her house? I should say we don't know for sure if someone burned down our house. An investigation is still going on, but it is terrifying. So we definitely haven't, because this happened on Sunday, and I know I have not covered this on the show yet. But basically on Sunday, we referenced it with Mary and Jim earlier in today's show. A South Carolina judge's house went up in flames. It hospitalized 3 people and just absolutely destroyed her home. Her name is Diane Goodstein. She's a circuit court judge, and she was out walking her dogs. And while she was out, the fire began. And so then I guess the occupants, I'm reading this from ABC News right now, were rescued by kayak from the home's backyard, and which is crazy to think about. But I don't know if the circumstances do not look great, right? As far as what she had, her rulings that then I think, so it was basically Trump had issued an executive order prohibiting non-citizens from registering to vote. And then Goldstein's decision was to override that. And then that was reversed a few days later by the state Supreme Court, which in South Carolina, I think it is a conservative-leaning Supreme Court. So it doesn't look great, but I also don't think there's been any hard evidence of saying someone lit her house on fire. So I want to be careful of saying things that we don't know are for sure true yet. But I will say just the optics of it look very scary. So those are my initial thoughts. When are you going to bring back Spinning the State? I don't know if this is always the same person who asks this. I loved Spinning the State. And I always, Steve, I don't know if we have to need to do a different angle for it. The thing is, the reason why we don't have it right now, one was because it was part of Spanning the State, which was the show I had last year and the beginning of this year. I think it's more just the amount, and this is my time for me to have a little bit of my crash out that I've been dealing with lately. The amount of news coming out every day and the ability for Steve and I to try to figure out what to talk about, to prioritize talking about in 2 hours, which when you think about our news and our commercials, ends up being closer to like just over an hour, right? And so how much on any given day we could talk about versus what we have time to talk about. And I think that's probably the main reason we haven't built out a Spinning the State, because to save a segment just to do kind of some of these other stories while there's so many every day, an overwhelming amount of news that feels like we should cover and things that get left on the table. Like we get texts every day being like, well, why didn't you talk about this? And like the different the competing priorities of what we should address and give thoughts on and give context on. And full transparency, I am doing my best, but intellectually overwhelmed as of late as far as trying to understand, wrap my head around the amount of news that is coming out, understand kind of like the basics of what the facts are, and then on top of that, have initial thoughts on it. And so I totally hear you that Spinning the State was an incredible segment, and it was fun to be able to highlight different stories around the state. But I think if we had a 3-hour show, I feel like we'd have more room for it. But I think sometimes it just gets edged out because there's so many things to talk about these days. But I appreciate how much you loved that segment. So yeah. All right, let's take a break. Let's keep sending your questions in, 855-616-1620, or give us a call at that same number. I am Kristin. This is Point Taken, and Ask Me Anything.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve's Committee for Annex Wealth Management. If you're part of the Wisconsin Retirement System Pension Program, join Annex for a specialized webinar, Understanding Your WRS Pension. It happens Tuesday, October 21st at 3:30. Join me and members of the Annex Financial Planning Team who have significant experience navigating WRS. More details and sign up at annexwealth.com/events. Know the difference. Unlike advisors who push commission products, Annex prioritizes your best interests. Their experienced team integrates all aspects of wealth management, retirement planning, investment strategies, tax optimization, and estate planning under one roof. With 8 Wisconsin locations for in-person consultations and flexible virtual meetings via Zoom, Annex ensures accessibility and convenience, meeting you where you are. Whether you're exploring Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, or Annex Ignite, their solutions are customized to fit. Visit annexwealth.com. Click on the now famous Get Started button to begin the conversation on creating a personalized financial plan. That's at Annex Wealth Management, annexwealth.com.
From the biggest stars to the greatest moments, Behind the Bucks is Bucks history like you've never heard it before. It's all on Behind the Bucks on the Bucks Plus audio network. Behind the Bucks is presented by Gallagher, your trusted insurance broker and HR and benefits consultant. Available now on bucks.com/plus, the Bucks app, the new ESPN Wisconsin app, and wherever you get podcasts.
It's like you don't want to even do anything anymore. You lay in bed in the morning, putting off the pain. You put off your workouts. You put off your walks. And yard work, that's just not even an option anymore. As we speak, pain is taking away more and more from your life. And unless you take action, it's going to get worse. And that's no way to live. Not when there's a Rejuvenex clinic nearby. Because the power of Toradol, joined with the wonder of hyaluronic acid, can alleviate your pain. And it can allow you to start living your life again. This is Rejuvenex founder Richard Salinas. At as low as $65 per injection per joint, Rejuvenex treatments are affordable. They're FDA approved. And in many cases, our patients pay nothing at all because insurance, including Medicare and Medicaid, pay for them. If your pain just won't go away, you should call Rejuvenex today.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Google reviews will tell you it's worth a try.
It's Oktoberfest at Fleet Farm with big fun in store for the whole family. Don't miss our Toyland opening at 7 a.m. Saturday, October 11th, where the first 125 customers will get our free annual Toyland toy. Along with toys, kids can get their hands on some real big rigs at our Touch a Truck event from noon till 3. And be sure to enter our pretzel count contest for a chance to win a Fleet Farm gift card. Stop in and celebrate Oktoberfest with us all month long. It's our way of thanking you for shopping Fleet Farm.
Take your family to the Mine Shaft restaurant in Hartford or Oshkosh today for the Wednesday all-you-can-eat fish fry and just $7.99. Kids 5 and under eat free from the kids menu. Just walk in for your $7.99 fish fry. It's big food. It's big fun. It's the Mine Shaft restaurant.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey, and it is the last half hour of our Wednesday show, which is usually Ask Us Anything. Today it is Ask Me Anything, since Steve is in Sicily. And we had a good question that I think is interesting to get into. So someone texted in and said, can you explain the benefit of listeners, your personal experience with the Affordable Care Act marketplace insurance, when you had it, and why you had to have it? So I was thinking about this. So my trajectory of health insurance was I was on my parents' health insurance. Then I was on SAG health insurance when I was a working actress for, I think, 2 years, when I made enough money from acting that I qualified for the health insurance provided by the SAG union. Then once I went to college, I had health insurance through the school. And most of these years I didn't really need, I never really got sick. So I feel like it's kind of a blur thinking back of then. I was like, I guess I had health insurance, but I don't really remember having to use it and having issues where I had a ton of pay out of pocket. And then I had jobs. I had my first job out of school was for a Salesforce.com consulting company and had kind of mediocre health insurance. And then I started working for startups. And my last job in tech, we had really good health insurance. I took for granted how excellent our health insurance was. It was a company called Optimizely. And so that was up and got me into 2017. And so then when I quit that job in 2017 to kind of figure out, I didn't want to sell software anymore. I was trying to figure out what was next. And lucky enough to have, I just paid out of pocket for Cobra for the rest of that year to continue to have access to that insurance. And then the next year was when I was self-employed. I was freelancing. I was kind of like picking up gigs here and there. And so basically from 2018 until 2022, I was on some version. I was on some insurance plan that I got through the ACA because I was self-employed. And, my experience with it was, it's basically, is it health insurance or is it just catastrophe insurance? Because you're paying somewhere between, I was paying somewhere between $300 and $500 a month to have a $10,000 out-of-pocket max. And so basically it was like, all right, so basically I'm paying this every month in case I get hit by a car or something terrible happens, because as a healthier young woman, I was never going to hit my out-of-pocket. But I had it, right? Like in case anything did happen, I did have it. I did have access to it. And so and I'm young enough where I don't remember, and I wasn't having to try to get health insurance before the ACA was passed. But I do know that there are the stories of people who would get kicked off of their insurance, have pre-existing conditions. There's this whole plethora of reasons why they just didn't have access to health insurance. And so they went without it and just rolled the dice. And, if we get to the place where what it sounds like, and then we had Alex Jaquez yesterday on the show with us, of if these premiums don't get, the subsidies don't get extended and the premiums go up, and then people like me who are young and healthy are like, I'm not going to pay for this. I'm going to take my chances. And then they drop out, and then the pool gets sicker, and so they have to raise premiums more, and so more people drop out, and just what that ends up doing. So yeah, I don't know if that's a strong argument, but at least it is my experience with the ACA marketplace. So thanks for that question. All right, let's take one more break. I will sift through the questions that came in while I was on that monologue and answer a couple more after this and wrap up today's show on Point Taken.
Hey, this is Steve Scafidi for Advent. I had some snoring issues that kept my wife up at night. That led to poor sleep and a lot of tired mornings on the radio, and nobody wants that, trust me. But it's simply, my nose wasn't working the way it should. I decided to go to Advent for a quick 30-minute visit, one of their great facilities, talk to a bunch of their doctors. They really put me at ease. After a really simple sleep study at home, in my own bed, they determined the root cause of my problem had to do with my sinuses and nasal passages in my breathing triangle. I didn't even know I had a breathing triangle, so I went to see Advent. After a short procedure done in office, I'm back to breathing well, and my wife and I are both back to sleeping through the whole night. The best sleep we've ever had, that could be you. If you struggle with restless nights like I did, take the time to see how Advent can help. To find out how breathing well and sleeping well can make your life and your nights a whole lot better, go to AdventKnows.com, schedule an appointment today. Because Advent knows, when you breathe well, you live better.
Are you worried about running out of money in retirement? Wondering about how to pay less taxes? Join me, Tony Drake, for the Retirement Ready Show, live every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 7 a.m. on WTMJ 620 or 103.3 FM. We'll talk about smart strategies to help you retire with confidence. Don't miss it.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Don't think twice. Call Dice.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geiss's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geissdoors.com. Geiss has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geiss at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geis. Visit them online at geisstores.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
This report sponsored by Marty's Pizza in Delafield.
Remember, Marty's Pizza.
Right off I-94 and Highway 83 in Delafield.
Tune in to Wisconsin's Midday News with Greg Matzik and Jessica Ty.
Well, Milwaukee Public School children are still being screened for lead, and Milwaukee Health Commissioner Dr. Michael Todoritis says the focus on those screenings will continue into early 2026.
Bringing you the latest in news, sports, traffic, and weather.
The sheriff's major crash assistance team is on the scene, and that intersection will be shut down for several hours. Please avoid the area.
Every weekday from noon until 3 p.m. Only on WTMJ. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee. From the Annex Wealth Management Studios, this is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I am Kristin Brey, finishing up Ask Me Anything on this Wednesday. We'll do it again next Wednesday. But someone said you talked about how Kohler was your number one place to go in the state for a mini vacation, but you never said where you stayed at. Is there more places to stay besides the American Club in Kohler? I just thought that was implied. I feel like I use those two interchangeably, even though Kohler is like the village or the town, and the actual hotel is the American Club. But I don't know if there's other places to stay, but if that was not clear, you stay at the American Club, which is very, very, very nice and definitely an indulgence. But, and then someone asked my favorite candy. That one's hard because I don't know how often I've mentioned I eat like a child when it comes to sugary candy. Much more so, I am much more of a fan of the Skittles, Mike and Ike's variety, like the kinds of candy that say fat-free on the front as an advertising tool versus, I don't dislike chocolate, but as far as the random craving of going and getting a bag of gummy bears in the middle of the day, that is much more my speed than getting like M&Ms or even peanut M&Ms. So, and now we're in candy season. And so I'm open to suggestions for Halloween costumes. We're thinking of trying to do a fun Halloween costume with Frankie this year. Last year, I made her dress as, oh God, and now I'm blanking on the name. Who was the pygmy hippo last year that went viral for being, like, it was like in Thailand at a zoo, and there's a little pygmy hippo.
Moodang.
I made her dress as Moodang, and it was pretty funny. This year, I have less funny ideas. So the default at this moment is that Mike and I and Frankie are all going to dress as a League Your Own, because inevitably with a toddler, she's probably going to start crying, and then we can get a video of Mike yelling at her saying, "There's no crying in baseball," and that would be a core memory for her. And so as of right now, we are thinking about doing a League of Their Own, but I feel like that's not very funny. I typically like doing a funny costume. Someone just asked, where's Steve? Steve is in Sicily. He is on a listener trip. He will be back. I think his first day back is October 17th, so a week from Friday. But yeah, lucky guy getting to step away, getting some rest and relaxation. We miss him, but hopefully I am holding down the fort without him. So we'll be back tomorrow. Jeremy Janine will be here to talk all things Milwaukee. So come back then or stick around now, because next is Midday News.
Welcome to our Everyday Health feature, sponsored by the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network. Breast reconstruction.